What is going on, guys? It is your older than average gamer back here with another video. Today, Insurgency Sandstorm, in a full settings look, as I found a few things that I think are worth noting to add to that last video that I did about aim settings. So I hope you enjoy this. Take a look and let me know what you think. So right here in the base game settings, allow lesson hints. You don't need those anymore. Allow current objective pop-up. I like this on now, actually, because sometimes you spawn in and it's nice to know exactly where you're going right away without having to do a whole ton of looking around. Contextual button hits, don't need those anymore. You know how to do this. You know how to vault as well, I think, at this point. The view bob is just something that kind of obstructs your view and just doesn't look great. Camera animations, you want those, like reloading, things like that. And the death camera as well, because it gives you a basic idea of where you might have been killed from. The HUD options, I want to keep as many of these things on as possible. Always show compass isn't on by default for some reason, so make sure you turn that on because it's great to have and it's great to use for communication. Also, the fire mode selection. I'm sure I'm not the only person who has forgotten that the gun was in single fire when they wanted it in automatic. The rest of these are really just up to you and completely preference based. Over in controls, auto lean, we're going to keep that off because you want to be doing that without meaning to. Manual bipod deploy, also keep that off. This is a little bit easier, makes your life a little easier when you want to use a bipod on a gun and just walk up to a ledge and just start using it. Here in the aim sensitivity settings, as we talked earlier, there were some things that are different. I still think dynamic is the best, and with that dynamic sensitivity curve, I'm using, as you can see here, look, X1 and 0.8 for Y. These will be slightly different for everybody, but I do think that 0.2 of a lower value in the Y sensitivity, between 2 and 3 is going to be perfect for most people. It's just going to make your turning left to right much smoother in every way. So if you are going with that dynamic aim sensitivity curve, you're going to want to use probably lower values on the rest of these aim sensitivity settings than you use normally. If you go too high, it can just get a little crazy. I started here at 0.5 originally and have worked my way up to 0.7 across the board. Now you might want to scale some of your higher settings down a little bit. That's totally possible, but ultimately these are going to be lower than they would be with the other mapping curve setups. But this still feels the best to me, this whole setup. Scale sensitivity, field of view, and FOV scaling, preferring scope, I left them on. I don't notice a huge difference with them off. Now down here in aim dampening is where I found changing this might have had the biggest effect on overall sensitivity feel, and I'm not 100% sure why, because half the time I'm not aiming at anything, even though I notice a difference. But I've turned these down quite a bit, with the exception of aim dampening ease in. If you read this, the lower the value, the quicker you get to full aim dampening. So I turned that up quite a bit to counteract. Vibrations, that's going to be totally up to you. Now, I feel like maybe the reason for this is when you're aiming down sights, just looking around, there might be an enemy behind a wall somewhere and it's still picking that up, so you get that jerky movement. I really don't have an answer for you, though, on why that works the way it does. Over here with the video settings, this again is a little bit preference based, but I'm using 2.2. You'll notice if you try playing this in HDR, it doesn't look very good. It's not made to be played in HDR, so that does make sense. But just bear in mind, if you don't have your system set up to use HDR when supported, you might want to change it to that. You'll probably have a much better experience looking at this game. Field of view, I always feel like the highest you can go and still feel comfortable is always the best, because you just can see more around you. This is totally preference based as well, a lot like much of these will be, but I bopped around between 75 and 90 and found that 80 to 90 is kind of where it's at. Obviously motion blur off, I think we all know that by now. Dismemberment on, but that doesn't even work at the moment, although it is something that they are aware of over there at NWI and they should be changing. Audio settings, these are all completely up to you, but I will say one thing: the mute ear ringing, probably a good idea for anybody, as it's an immersive thing for sure, but it's also very annoying. And if you can mute that as an option, I don't know why you wouldn't. Appreciate you stopping by the channel to watch the video. Hope it was helpful for you. Please think about giving it a like, maybe subscribing if you haven't, and hit that bell notification for more updates. We will see you later on in the week.